And this is A&B Convo's Wrestling Edition. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, to the most must-see wrestling review and live reaction podcast in all the land. I'm talking about A&B Convo's Wrestling Edition. With us, as always, is the wrestling historian, none other than Steven Sandridge.
Pencils down, everybody. Welcome to class.
That's what pencils down. Okay, you just brought me back.
Did I trigger you for that?
You did. You actually did.
And his shirt.
Oh,
it's
my
like
gosh.
he's about to
This
teach
is-
us a whole lesson.
This is the heel to-do list.
What?
Yeah, the heel
Yes.
to-do list shirt proclaimed to be the greatest of all time. Pose. Sorry, I'm trying to read upside down. This could take a while.
Pose
but
arrogantly.
Pose arrogantly. Think of your Randy Orton.
That
stuff.
is the most amazing shirt I think I've ever seen.
Insult the marks.
Yeah, there you go.
And
Wow.
RIP and rip their signs. Yes. Insult the city sports team. Now that
Obviously.
is
GP,
really, really important.
Leave during the match. Try to call a timeout.
That's what I'm talking about.
typical. That's great. That's great.
It's
a great shirt.
I'm going to need that shirt for Christmas. Just
Okay.
put that on the list.
Let's
Throw a link in the chat.
You'll have to forgive me because, believe it or not, Thursday night into Friday, I had a little bout of food poisoning, and I was down.
Food turn heel on you.
It did turn heel on me, so you've actually got to put that on the list.
Yeah.
But we're here. We're ready to do this, and I think B has got the agenda for us.
Let's go.
So we're now moving into Mr. McMahon episode 4.
Oh, put the foe on it,
Got
man.
to put the foe on it. And so this episode, well, first and foremost, let's just start with, we were talking about the WWF up until this point.
Yeah.
But then another lawsuit happened where the World Wildlife Federation came in and said, hey, now. How do you do that? Not in my house.
No,
go.
not in my house.
They dikembe'd Vince pretty hard, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a real issue with that. They're on my hit list for life.
Do you want to know what's really ironic? This week, the week that we're recording this, I was watching either Raw or NXT or something like that, and to this day, WWF, World Wildlife Fund, bought ad time during the show. I was seeing WWF commercials during WWE comes, and for 20 years or whatever that they've been WWE now, I've never seen that, and I'm like, this had to be intentional.
It's so ridiculous. We all know that they were two totally different entities. It's just 3 letters. Let them have it, man. Come on.
It didn't hurt. WWE is fine.
WWF, you're on the list. You made the list.
It did give us the great novelty T-shirt of one panda hitting another panda with a steel chair. It says WWF on it. If you can find that online, I don't know who came up with it, but
Yeah,
I will look for that online because that's great.
Yeah.
I would have worn that today.
I miss WWF. I at least, I think one thing that really irritates me about it, though, is you go back to Peacock and you watch something. Clearly, I'm a product of the Hulkamania, New Generation years, and and the Monday Night Wars and all that stuff was probably my more energetic younger years when I was really full into it. Still into it now, but going back and watching that stuff now, there's a season where the turnbuckles are blurred out and you see Ric Flair's promo from winning the Royal Rumble where he talks about being the WWE, and they have to silence him out like it's a SmackDown crowd saying profanities,
right.
And it's just,
it's not that.
I'm like,
serious.
could we just not have to retroactively take this out?
You
could you just
have
say
to
from this point forward, let's just make the change?
Yeah,
it's so annoying.
No, for sure. So with the new name, we now are having to go into a new attitude because, we talked about that 83-week winning streak that WCW had going on. And so Vince is like, we need to rebrand ourselves. So we became WWE Attitude, right? So it's more gritty and it's really kind of just actually disgusting because it started with being gritty and attitude, and it went on to just shock factor, anything that was going to bring attention to the product. The DX, well, first of all, I had told him before anybody said this, but on the actual documentary, but DX was absolutely NWO. It was, them, NW, you had them beating up Eric Bischoff, and then you had them now beating up Vince. And so that was absolutely, they did take that from them because it was working. And so they needed to do the same kind of thing, in my opinion. And then, of course, so we have DX coming out, Anti-Authority, and I personally think that without Triple H and Shawn Michaels, that WCW would have won because that was their ingenious. Vince wasn't even down for it. And the first time they started doing that stuff, he was like wanting to, like, no, don't do that again. I'm going to fine you. He was freaking out about it. And then once he saw it was working, he went with it. So I personally think that Vince didn't win that. Triple H and Shawn Michaels won that, which is why Triple H and Shawn Michaels being in charge right now, we have a better product. That's just B's 2 cents.
You know,